This man got married and had a son, but he had to wait 16 years to see them for the first time. But before we start, please give the video a like and make sure to subscribe to WonderBot and hit the bell so you'll never miss any uploads from us. Like many men his age, Purdie had settled down into marriage and fatherhood. But in 2015, the Denver native situation differed to one of his peers in one key respect. Simply put, Gene was never able to see his wife, Joy, or his son, Lincoln, properly. And that was the case because, unfortunately, Gene had a disease that seriously affected his vision. What's more, it's something that's afflicted him all his life. However, he was not fully diagnosed with the problem until he was 16 years old. At that time, Gene was given the news that he had Stargardt disease, an inherited condition that affects the retina. People with Stargardt tend to lose some vision as a child or in adolescence. As for the condition itself, it's one of many similar disorders known collectively as juvenile macular degeneration, or JMD. And although it's uncommon for sufferers to completely lose their sight, the condition can nevertheless severely deteriorate their vision. Given time, in fact, their eyesight may be as poor as 20/20 grade or even worse. This means that they have to be 20 feet closer to something that someone with normal eyesight can see from 200 feet away. As for Gene, he's only able to see small amounts through his peripheral vision. Worse still, he can't see anything directly in front of him at all. The result then leaves him assembling scenes and parts, much like putting together a jigsaw puzzle. For instance, if the dad wants to read something, he'll use his camera phone to zoom in on the text. However, Stargardt disease doesn't close Gene off completely from the world. Indeed, he can still perform many day-to-day activities like cooking, even if he has to lean in close to a cookbook. And despite the difficulty involved, Joy has maintained that he's still a better cook than she is. Yet, even though Gene had come to terms with his lack of vision some time ago, the future didn't look promising. In fact, in a 2015 interview with the Rachael Ray show, the family said they'd constantly been told there was no cure for Stargardt disease. And as a result, they believed that there was nothing that could improve Gene's vision. In addition, Gene had not been able to see his wife properly for the whole time they'd known each other. Nor, indeed, was he totally able to envision his baby boy. But then, one day, Joy turned on the television. And as she would later reveal in the 2015 interview, she saw something that made her start shaking and crying. Specifically, Joy was watching an episode of The Rachael Ray Show featuring a woman who also had Stargardt disease. Now, she'd been given technically advanced electronic glasses to help her condition. And after putting them on, she was able to see much more clearly after 5 years of deteriorating vision. Indeed, the woman was able to see her sisters within moments of looking through the special glasses. So after thinking there was nothing they could do to help Gene, Joy was overwhelmed. For there was now the prospect that her husband might one day be able to see their son. As a result, Joy started writing a letter to the Rachael Ray Show. In it, she shared their story from the very beginning. And it may have touched someone involved in the program, as not before long, the couple were invited onto the show too. Naturally, Gene was excited to appear on the show, especially if it enabled him to finally view his loved ones. In the interview captured before he tried the glasses, he even remarked, "I don't think there's words for the moment that I first see my family. It was sure to be an emotional ride then." During that interview, we're given a glimpse of Gene and Joy's life at home and more information on their background. In fact, Lincoln's mother recalls the time when she attempts to grab her future husband's attention while single. But her initial efforts weren't entirely successful, as we'll find out now. As Joy goes on to explain, when we actually met, Gene kept walking by, and I'm waving trying to get his attention, and he keeps walking past me. So the next time I saw him, I was like, "What's your deal?" He told me that he was blind, and I was like, "Okay, well, you can come sit with me." As for the letter she sent to the show, Joy shares some of its content, and it reads, "I would love to share a little bit about my husband's eyesight. I was told that he was born with Stargardt disease, but it was not until he was almost 16 years old that they were able to diagnose it." From here, Joy touches upon Gene's attitude to the situation, knowing that the disease couldn't be treated. So, given previous experience, she remained skeptical about the original segment on the Rachael Ray Show. There, a woman was helped to see with the help of these so-called trailblazing glasses. But as we now know, those doubts were quickly turned on their head. Joy continues, although I heard Rachael Ray say that they were going to help someone see, I still did not believe it because we've always been told no. I literally began shaking and crying for the next hour or so at the thought of my husband being able to see my face for the first time, to see our son for the first time. At this point, Joy then breaks down in tears after reading the letter, with Gene comforting his wife. After this, we catch another glimpse of the couple playing with Lincoln, before the youngster offers his dad a big hug. With this, the opening segment comes to an emotional end. Following on, the family is welcomed onto the stage where they're introduced to Taylor West from eSight. Now, this is the company which makes the special eyewear. And West explains that the glasses have a camera inside that records what the person wearing them is looking at. Then an interior computer enhances the images, allowing the person with poor vision to see more clearly. At this point, Rachael Ray herself shares something with Gene in the audience. She says, "What I love about watching Gene's story in that piece is how full of life he is. You may not let this limit you or bum you out. You're cooking, you're kicking Joy's butt in the kitchen." Ray adds, "You know, you struggle so hard to read and embrace the sight that you do have. I just love that about you. You're such a great human being." Great human being. Then the big moment finally arrives for Gene, Joy, and Lincoln as West prepares the special device. On the back of West's explanation to the audience, Gene is given the all-important glasses to try on at last. And they're connected up to an in-screen studio, enabling the audience to see what Gene is looking at. Meanwhile, the eSight employee adds that the glasses should temporarily give Gene something close to typical eyesight. And sure enough, after the glasses work their magic, Gene can see his wife and son for the first time. In the highly emotional first few moments, he manages to say, "Wow, she's pretty," when he sees Joy. From here, the dad then looks at Lincoln through the device. At this point, the audience bursts into applause and Joy begins to cry as she holds their son. Furthermore, Gene explains how he's now able to see their whole face at once, something he couldn't do before. Given the situation, the Denver native was unsurprisingly emotional. As a result of this, Ray starts to tear up as well, saying, "We're all crying now. We're gonna freak the baby out." Then the host switches her focus back to Joy as she looks to gauge the mother's reaction. "How you feeling?" the former asks, to which Gene's wife replies, "Hopeful." After this, Gene turns his attention to the audience and is amazed that he can see many of the faces looking back at him. But he isn't just taking in the whole studio. In fact, Joy's husband is scouring the crowd for two people in particular, and we'll soon find out. Yes, Gene's parents are sitting in the audience too, and he also hasn't been able to see them clearly before. Once he finds them, Ray motions his mom and dad to stand up. Then they come down to join Gene on stage so he can get a closer look at them. When Gene is asked by Ray how he feels about his improved vision, he fights back tears, saying, "It's overwhelming." But that's not all though, as we're about to find out. For before the show ended, there would be one last surprise for Gene and Joy's small family to take home. That's correct, because in an incredible gesture, eSight gives them the electronic glasses for free. So now Gene will be able to see his loved ones on a regular basis. While he'd always been told that there was nothing that could be done, his luck had changed thanks to technology. As for the glasses, host Ray reveals that they would normally cost around $15,000 as the show comes to an end. Now, the segment was eventually uploaded on YouTube by eSight's official channel. And since then, the emotional video has made a fairly big impact online. "What a blessed love," one user wrote. "The wife is lucky because she knows this man loves her, not for her looks. And the man is too, because he found a wife who loves him despite his condition. Blessed family. Gene is so lucky that God sent a guardian angel as beautiful as Joy. Damn, dude, you won't find another woman like that for a century." As for the video, this makes me melt inside with happiness. Meanwhile, another user was hopeful that eSight's work would stretch to some countries outside the US as well. The person wrote, "Wow, what awesome technology to help the visually impaired to see our beautiful world. Good work, eSight. Please bring this technology to India and other countries around the world." At the end, we want to know your opinion about the story in the comments box below.